My Talerang journey has actually been it's quite a long journey. I did the Future CEOs program in 2015. Did a bunch of internships through Talerang. Went on to work with KPMG and then in the consulting practice, and then at Unilat, which is in the retail industry. I think about last year, for about 8 years or so now, for about 8 or 9 years, I've also been kind of helping Talerang mentor and coach a lot of the younger students. And I think one of the reasons that is so important is that one of the most underrated parts of my Talerang journey was the incredible mentorship and coaching opportunities I was able to um, I was able to kind of pick up along the way. And these are honestly uh, transition from just being very professional meant like training journeys or training relationships or professional relationships into very strong personal relationships and networks. So it's been an incredible journey. I reached out to a bunch of people I actually knew through Talerang to help with my application, and John, who I knew through Talerang and was and is still a very strong professional mentor and friend to me. Really helped a lot. And again, that is somebody I knew through Talerang. So it's obviously been a long journey. Um, and one that has honestly been very rewarding. That's just a little bit about myself. I will kind of pause. I have a few things to share about what I feel are good things to do in terms of giving back. So I think one of the most important things I've at least learned through Dalrang, and this is something which has been true even personally, is just that kind of importance of giving back. There's a very strong mentorship culture at Talrang, which you will kind of see senior people. I know Sneha does a lot of these calls where she gets on calls with younger people and says, "Hey, this is what you do." I've done many of these calls as well. So I think um, one of the most important things, at least is somebody who's starting off, is leveraging those mentorship opportunities. The disadvantage of this is that they're not going to come walking to you. You need to go seeking them out, right? If you want to figure something out, nobody's going to come and say, "Hey, Rupankar, you want to figure this out? Here's how you do it." It doesn't work like this. Rupankar is always behind me. He says, "Hey Mansoor, this is what I want to do. How do I do this?" Right? It's always there's supposed to be some sort of initiative. I think one is just learning to leverage these professional opportunities. Two is being kind of self-motivated and taking the lead with that, because a lot of things in life you will have to take the initiative. And I think the second part of it is honestly that once you reach a stage where you are then able to kind of give back, it's never a one-way process, right? It's just because I'm somebody's mentor doesn't mean I don't need a mentor, right? I need a mentor, Sneha needs a mentor, then Sneha's mentor might be Shweta, and then Shweta might have a different mentor. And it's just a cycle, right? I think one of the things I used to feel is that, oh, maybe it's too early for me to mentor somebody, which which to some extent might be true because you want to be careful with the advice you're giving. But I feel like um taking the opportunity to kind of give back to the community is super important. There's just a few ways you can do that. One is obviously just ask and offer to kind of mentor somebody, right? Two is look for volunteer opportunities, look for opportunities to give back to community. I was speaking to some seniors at CBS a couple of days back, and so he didn't go back to India, and said I asked him why he didn't, and he said, "Oh, because I'm planning orientations for year two." So it's basically he's just given up his summer for practically not a lot of money, just so that he can plan orientation for the next year, so that we have good experience. There's nothing in this for him except that kind of feeling of giving back, right? So kind of seek out these volunteering opportunities, and And three is just kind of have that have that mindset of and this is also somebody who I first at least met through Talerang is uh m- told me is that how do you then also enable connections between people is that if I know for example Nazia is looking to do something who I know somebody in, how do I then enable those kind of connections, right? So I think it's a few things, right? So one is always seek out opportunities. Two is take the initiative. Three, it's usually never too early. And four is kind of try to make those connections between people. And five, and I think the most important is when you get opportunities to do something and give back to it, right? It's really early in the morning here, but I said no. I want to go talk. I want to go talk to people because I've had incredible people come back and share their experience. And if I'm able to help two or three people by this, it'll be worth it. If you have any questions personally about me, about anything else, I'm kind of happy to take it.
Okay, so I have few questions. My first question would be like you mentioned about the key takeaways or key pointers that one should keep in mind. So my question is regarding how to keep a active connection with your batchmates. Like this is something that people struggle in professional life if you see. Like building connections if I have to say. So what would be two go-to points that you will always say to keep in mind when you're building a connection?
Yeah, I think the thing with connection is I actually don't like the word connection because I feel like it's taken out of LinkedIn and just put into the offline setting. I don't necessarily think that's how it works. Um, the way I kind of look at it is just building friendships. And you can have personal friendships, but you can also have professional friendships. So that one is just the way you look at it. And when you stop looking at it as building connections, and start looking at it as building friendships, it just becomes much easier, right? What do you do
Yeah,
to be a good friend, right?
okay.
And then there's obviously some things you do personally to be a good friend, but what do you do professionally to be a good friend? Some things I do is, for example, if I'm reading something, I know somebody works in the ESG sector. I'm reading something about clean tech or something. I will send it to them saying, hey, um, found something interesting which I thought you would like. Here is it. How are you doing? Right? So just those small things like, hey, I'm thinking about you. That's one thing I do. Um, Second is because I also sometimes struggle to keep in touch with a lot of people is I do like these quarterly, semi-annually kind of updates to people where I have like a broadcast list. So some people might even be receiving these messages from me. It's like I send out these personal messages saying, hey, this is what's been happening in the last 3, 4 months. This is what life's been up to. Um, and it's what I've been up to. And it's just that thing which initiates a conversation, right? So I think these are two things which I found very helpful. Again, having said that, everybody builds out these relationships and friendships very
Absolutely.
differently. There is no right way to do it.
Yeah.
It's just you need to just find what works for you.
Okay. Okay, so the next question is a generic one. Maintaining work-life balance in a demanding career. I think that's everyone struggles whether you are at an initial phase like a beginner or you're a professional. So any
Yeah.
tip that you want to share with the budding talents and everyone?
Yeah, I think one of the most important things is learning to say no. I feel like so much of the stuff we do is just us not prioritizing our time important. I mean, and distinguishing between what is important and urgent. One of my like most mind-boggling takeaway from the program was the prioritization matrix. Before Talerang, I used to think everything that's urgent is important and everything that's important is urgent. I think knowing just in your mind having what is important, what is urgent. Like I know there's something super important. I know I have a deadline on the 16th. I know it's super important that I do it, but it's not urgent. It's not like I need to do it now. I know I have a test due on 16th. But I will do it before 16th, right? Because that's really important and that's a deadline I can't miss. But it's not urgent. Do I need to say, hey, can you wait for like half an hour? Let me just do my test and come back. No, right? So I think one is just learning to say no because there's always going to be more than you're going to have time to do. And then you really then struggle because you're not doing that well. Second is is obviously that prioritization matrix of what goes where. I think third, and this is something I know Shweta does it the best probably of anybody I know, and Shri obviously has a large part to it. That is just managing your calendar well, right? Just being organized.
Absolutely.
When you sit
Yeah.
down and you know these are my top five things, I mean you're okay, right? I usually like have like some form of like just looking at it like I usually have some form of like to-do lists or something on my computer, something just keep track of things. So when I sit down, I know, hey, this is what I need to get done. Um,
Okay.
yeah, probably these three things. Say no, learn the prioritization matrix, and just be organized with your time. Everybody has the same amount of time, so if somebody is getting more done, you are probably not using it as effectively.
Yeah. Thank you so much for this conversation. Thank you for time.